The first webinar is Investing on Active versus Passive Mutual Funds, where we'll be discussing various aspects related in active versus passive mutual fund. The second webinar is Investing for Your Children Higher Education. This webinar is women's only webinar. These first two webinars will be hosted in Tamil language. The third webinar is Investing in India's Travel Boom, where we will be discussing the risk and opportunities in this particular sector. If you are interested in any of this webinar, you can click the link below in the description to register.
We spoke about his personal learnings in his early 30s, and now we'll get to his learnings in his career. So let's get to it. No, but you know that course that you were talking about, family business management, I've seen people do it and it does seem like a very interesting course, but that comes after you finished your undergraduation.
Oh, you are talking about putting the children through that education.
Because it's a post-graduation is a norm.
I am talking about children actually participating in the family business and learning it when they are growing up, when they are doing their summer halls, when they have spare hours. Let's say you teach something 10 minutes a day for 20 years. That is better than 2 years of MBA in family business. That is my view. But I think it's not happening, Harshil. It is not really happening the way I would admire it or I would respect it. It is happening, but here and there in fits and starts. The inadequacy of how it is happening is very stark. And this is what is going to lead to very poor generational transitions. People selling their assets immediately after they receive it. People misallocating capital immediately as soon as they receive it. All this will happen because of lack of preparation.
No, like you said, it has to come two ways, and
it has to happen over a long period of time. It cannot happen just before the physical transfer of assets. That is just the ceremonial event. It is not the preparation. People think that doing legal work for transfer of assets is preparation. No, not at all. That is ceremonial. But mentally that person should know what he is being prepared for. See, business families earlier, they would take the children to the offices, to the factories, to the properties.
And you've gone, you've told.
You have to go. You know, people, if you say, come to my office, they say, why should I come there? What will I do there? You have your people. What can I do there? I have nothing in common with you. So that kind of behavior is very, very high. So you have one entire generation of entrepreneurs not having children to take care of their business or to take over. And if I see what is it that this next generation is doing so spectacularly superior to being a successor to the previous generation, I am not seeing justification in most cases. I am sorry to say that. I am not seeing a valid justification. It's all escapism in some form or the other.
When you said that, it's good when the next gen actually starts going to work and starts, but when they go, do you see that they are made to already assume the role of a boss?
Oh, that is a very wrong thing. You have to first put the person in a place where they have to learn how to deal with problems. Multiple situations you have to put a person through tight spots so that they learn problem solving. And once they do that, they slowly start acquiring leadership skills. And people start accepting them. If you straight away make one fellow a managing director of the company, you have created a Nepo kid, right? And Nepo kids are not going to win in this world. For sure they are not. It's highly unlikely for a Nepo kid to win.
No, either they are a Nepo kid or they go out to study. And do you think that is there a real benefit where you have to, do a postgraduate or to go outside to study where you spend 40-50 lakhs in a year?
If you are willing to work hard to do justice for that kind of spending, I understand. If you are doing MBA because all your friends are doing MBA and everybody is going to London and Australia and different places, then I'm not seeing much purpose in that. See, many people just spend their way and go and study in certain places. They come back. What have they really learned? What value addition have they done? Going to London or Australia, New Zealand, or going to Singapore or going to US to do a master's in management, for example, I think may not be necessary. There could be other ways of learning all these things. Or if you're still going to spend that, make sure that you have got value for what you spend. That accountability comes from within the person who goes. It doesn't come from the father or mother or anyone else. So there's deep sense of accountability to yourself and to the people who believe in you is what will make your education complete. So if you're having the deep sense of accountability and then you're going and studying outside, it is fine. You will prove worthy of whatever is invested on you. But it is not easy. I am sure there are a lot of people who feel they are not accountable.
And when I think of how I can be accountable, I only think that, okay, I need to be very stable. And everybody in my generation, we are very aspirational in nature. So we would.
What is that aspiration? Is it about lifestyle or is it?
Because one, like you said, there is a social commitment that's there. We would like to flaunt out. So savings is merely on my expenses, my lifestyle. But my income depends on my work or my business, and I see many people jumping jobs just so that they can earn more, to fuel that particular lifestyle. So how important is stability when it comes to, me saving and actually creating a very big wealth basket?
Are you growing yourself or are you trying to grow an organization? They are different. They are very different actually. People who become very successful professionally are those who built organizations as professionals. Deepak Parekh never owned HDFC Bank or HDFC. He built HDFC. Aditya Puri did not own HDFC Bank. It's just a small shareholder in the company. Likewise, there are so many people who have built institutions which have stood the test of time and been professionals. See their longevity. If my memory serves me right, Aditya Puri was there from the inception of HDFC Bank, and there's been only one person who has succeeded him. So almost in its entire history of 30 plus years, it's had one person for 28 years or something like that, 27 or 28 years. So professionals who rise to that stature actually invest in growing an organization, building a brand, and they still get all the respect that they can aspire for. But there are a lot of people who believe that being a climber is actually a professional skill. My assessment is, I have not seen climbers go farther than people like this. I have not seen any climber go farther than this. This is as good as any person can become.
So do you think who you work for matters more than how much you work for?
It does matter. What you work for is also very important. What is the cost that you are working for? What is the problem you are solving? See, there is an exaggeration about working for certain bosses. Again, you are creating a personality cult. But actually, you have to think about what is the problem you are solving, what is the cost that you are trying to address. That is a more anchoring factor than an individual. Individuals are also anchored to that cause. Your common anchoring is valuable. I understand that. Like if somebody is working in, let's say, an Arvind Eye hospital, or you are working in some public institution, right? Then you identify yourself with the founder and stuff like that. Doctors identify themselves with founders of such institutions. But still, I think the cause is more important than the founder, because the founder will one day go away. The cause will remain, right? So that personality cult also has to be dealt with certain checks and balances, is what I think. But the important thing is that you are contributing towards growing the idea and the vision of that founder. That is very important. Personal loyalty is not everything, but your contribution is very, very critical. Good example would be the Tata Group. Now, people are not working for Mr. Tata. Please understand. Mr. Tata won't know most of his people. You'll know only a few people who work for him. Whoever the Mr. Tata is, it keeps changing. But they're working for certain common purposes and ideals, and they're working for a particular cause. So I think the cause is always more important than the person. There are a lot of such examples I can give you. And people who stick to what they believe is a worthwhile cause for long years go a long distance. The climbers will go distance, but I don't know how far they will go. Okay, I'm not sure about that. I don't believe in that philosophy. So personally, I don't believe in that philosophy of being a climber, using people and then finding others you can use. I'm not prone to that thought process at all. So my nature is not aligned to that. So I find it very difficult to appreciate such behavior. I think it's very opportunistic, and I don't think opportunism will take a person very far in life.
So this work for a particular cause, right? So it upfront seems like a lot of commitment without seeing a lot of result. So
But the rewards are also there, no? See, if you work in a particular way with people, when your work reaches very large number of people and the believers become a very large tribe, only after that you start seeing the rewards. So you may do 10, 20 years where you are actually building, and then suddenly it explodes. It applies even to a business which may not do great common good like a zero brokerage, but they worked for so long. That is what you have to take as a takeaway. You understand? So that application for such a long period of time is something that becomes valuable. Whether it is as valuable as it deserves to be or more valuable, all that is subjective judgment, but it is valuable. Application and focus on a cause is extremely valuable, and that is what creates great careers. If you want a career,
So early on in our careers, we are exposed to leverage some way or the other. Either it's education, and then there are expenses. You want to buy a car, and then you have aspiration. You want to buy a house. So, see, if I don't take a loan, then I'm not feeding into my aspirations. But if I'm taking a loan, I'm going to take away my future savings. So, how did you manage your aspirations to get the best of both worlds?
firstly, I have never had a very high salary. So, no one is interested in giving me a loan for spending. For example, no one would give me an auto loan, or no one would give me a consumer loan, or no one would give me a loan to go on a holiday, and no one would give me even a home loan. So, therefore, I always spend out of my capital. And when you have to spend out of your capital, you be judicious. When people start giving me a loan, okay, it didn't really matter. I still took the loan, but I made sure I always repaid the loan in very short periods of time. For example, I am very uncomfortable of having an auto loan beyond 3 years. It's a very trivial thing, but it's very important. Similarly, I don't want to have even property loans, even if I buy the properties for business. Beyond a certain duration, I want to finish it off and then move to the next one. So when you shrink the duration of any loan, then you are using the loan judiciously, and the cost of interest in your overall total cost of ownership is always in check. Taking loans for consumption, I have never done. Taking loans longer than is prudent, I have never done. But the most important point is, at a very young age, till I crossed a certain age, I was not getting any loans. I think that's what saved me, honest truth. So now I know when not to take a loan, no, because I never got a loan. So for me, it's very unnatural to buy a phone with a loan. It's very unnatural to go on a holiday with a loan, right? I won't do all that.
I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Shyam Sekhar, but I still have a lot more questions to ask him. So stay tuned for the next part.